these should be aired up to 3 psi. That's the operating pressure for the pontoons. The fill holes, if you look, are at each section of the pontoons. There is a cap. You undo the cap. You insert the fill nozzle, which is located inside the front floor compartment. Under that white there is a foot pump. The foot pump gets inserted in there. You pump these up to 3 psi. As it warms up outside, these become hard and get harder. You need to let some of the air out as they start to become hard. You don't want them to get over 3 psi because they will pop. To let the air out, you take the cap off, you push on the center, releases some of the air out of the pontoon. You just want to release it so that it's just soft enough that you can push on it and it's not hard. Replace your cap, make sure that it's secure. Move to your next section. Remove your cap. Release some of the air pressure so that it's not hard. Move to your next section. Okay, that should be done on the PMs every Monday. This boat, when it's in the water, will have to be checked every other day for air pressure in the pontoons. That's going to have to be almost a daily maintenance thing, that every afternoon you guys are going to drive down to Big Cove Marina and check this boat for pressure so that we don't pop these pontoons. If there's water in the hull of the boat, the way we get the water out of the hull of the boat are through these black tubes on the back. These black tubes back here, they lead directly into the hull. They're operated by these ropes. You lift up on the rope, releases the tube, it comes down. There's one on each side. That's how the water comes out. You only operate these tubes when the boat is underway. If you let these down while the boat is sitting still in the water will backflow into the hull of the boat and you will sink. Only release these tubes while the boat is moving. Otherwise, these need to be up in the up position and the rope needs to be locked down so that the water cannot come back into the boat. If the boat is in dry dock or in its slip, there are plastic caps that must be installed inside in the hole. If you look inside in here, there's a round hole down there and there's a plastic cap that slides inside, which we will show you installing further later in the video. Operating the boat, turning on the battery. This is your battery switch. Turn it 2 clicks so the arrow faces up. That turns on your battery. Turning on your battery gives you power to everything. The whole helm is now powered. Your radio's powered. All of your switches are now powered. The GPS mapping unit does not work at this time. We are working on getting a replacement. The 3D depth finder does work. We do have a replacement unit for that. We are going to be getting that installed, but this one does currently work. So you will be able to find your depths wherever you're at. Your key is here. Turn your key on. That brings power to all of your gauges. It also turns on 3 warning lights: your battery light, your oil temperature light, and your water temperature light. To test your alarms, there's a button right here underneath those lights. You push that in, you'll hear an audible alarm. If you push that button and you do not hear that alarm, something is wrong. Do not operate this boat. That alarm has to be operating. If that alarm does not operate, there's a problem. If it doesn't operate and you're out running the boat and that thing doesn't go off when there's a problem, you'll blow this motor up. That alarm has to work when you push that button. Okay, switches right here from left to right. This one here turns on the code 3 lights, the one all the way to the left. The one next to it turns on the blue lights, front and back. The one next to that, little push button, that's the horn. That's a must-have for when you're coming in and out of the marina, especially at night and there's other boats. You need to use your horn. The switch next to that is for your blower motor. It operates the blower inside the bilge. The one all the way to the right operates the bilge pump all the way up. Turns on the bilge when you, just for like an immediate bilge pump. You hold it up and it turns the bilge pump on to pump out just like an immediate need. Pushing it all the way down turns on the automatic bilge pump, so that if you are running and operating the boat, the bilge pump will come on only as needed. When you are done, put it back in the center position. Switches up top. The 2 silver switches, the one to the left. That one turns on. Sorry. The one to the right turns on your siren. The one to the left changes the tone of your siren. The round red switch next to the left of the siren switches turns on your scene lights. The right and left scene light for when you're operating at night. Turning on the battery switch automatically turns on your navigation lights, so you should have no problem navigating at night just by turning on the batteries. This boat is a diesel motor, so it does not take gas, only takes diesel. The diesel fill for this is located directly in the front of the boat. Right in front of the front step, there is a small white tube sticking up. You take the top off, that's where you fill the diesel. You cannot see this diesel tank. You have to look down the tube to see the level of the diesel. You remove this cap, and inside there you'll see the diesel down inside the tank. When you're filling it, you will fill it out of the diesel tank here. We have a green can in the engine bay, strictly for diesel. It's a 5-gallon can. That will get filled up and hauled out to the boat, and you'll fill it 5 gallons at a time out of that can. Life jackets. Life jackets will be stored in this small compartment here. Most of the time, the life jackets will come off of the ambulance, and that's the ones that you will be using, because the ambulance crew will be the one responding to the boat in most instances. But we will be storing life jackets in this small step compartment here for the meantime. Coolant is here. It's the heavy duty low silicon formulated antifreeze. It's the 50-50 mix. It is not always stored in here. It will be stored in the garage. We have it in here for now. We also have a current EPIRB stored in here. It's an SOS light, so that if something happens on the water, all you have to do is drop this in the water. Once it gets wet, it immediately turns on and starts sending out an SOS signal. Okay? As far as adding oil to this boat, the only oil that should be added to this is a heavy duty diesel oil. A 5W or a 10W40, the heavy duty diesel oil, the same oil that we use in the engines. Okay, same exact oil, guys. Battery compartment. Battery compartment on this boat is right up here in front in this black compartment here underneath the helm. You open this up, your batteries are stored right down here. There should be no need for anybody to get into this compartment unless the batteries are dead. Batteries should not die on this boat if it is stored inside the engine bay, because this boat is equipped with what? It's equipped with a shoreline. So this boat should be plugged in while it is being parked. If we can, we're trying to get the marina to allow us to plug in, because some of the docks have a plug. We should be able to plug in the shoreline while there. If we can't and it's parked here, it will be plugged into the shoreline here. The shoreline is located right here on the helm. It's just like the ambulance. You flip it up. It has the plug. The plug for it is inside the step in the front. Plug it in, plug it right into the extension cord, and it keeps our batteries charged. When it is in its docking, in its slip, pontoons are to be out at all times. We don't want it rubbing against the dock. The pontoons for this thing are $13,000 a piece to replace what they call the elephant trunks. So we do not want to replace them. So when you're bringing it in to dock, or you're bringing it in to unload patients, bring it in slow and do not hit the dock with the pontoons. Bring it in slow, don't rub. Make sure these are out so that you're not rubbing these pontoons on the shore. It is equipped with ropes. Ropes are here to be tied off. You can tie the boat off front and back with these ropes. There's one in the front, there's one in the back. There's actually two in the back, one on each side, one right in the front. It also has two towing locations. If you need to tow a boat in, you can do so off of either tow location. One tow location is here, and one tow location is in the bow. Those are the only two spots that you are allowed to tie off another boat and tow from. These are the only two spots strong enough to tow another boat. If you try to tow a boat from any other anchor point on this boat, you will pull it apart. This is the operator's seat. When you're in motion, the operator's seat should be installed. Slide it in. This keeps your operator safe and secure behind the wheel. That way, if you hit a wave or something happens that pushes the boat, the operator is secure and will not move out of this position. If you're operating the boat without the operator's seat positioned behind you and something adverse happens, it is not the fault of the department, it is the fault of the operator, and it is your responsibility to have this installed. The Stokes basket is installed on top of the captain's housing. It is not currently up here, but it will be on top, and it will be tied down and secured at all times. Unless being used for loading or unloading a patient, anytime the boat is PM'd or any Mondays are done, the Stokes basket will be checked to make sure that it is tied down and secured on top. When raising and lowering the ladder is located in the back. It is tied off with this small rope. You untie the rope, and the ladder is to be lowered slowly and managed with the rope in hand. You don't just flop this ladder down. It's to be controlled while being lowered and raised back up in a controlled manner. This ladder is heavy and will do damage. So do not just throw this thing down in the water or throw it back up. You'll hit somebody with it and it will cause damage. When you're done using the ladder, you you secure it back in its position and you anchor it back down, tying it off so that it cannot move, just like so. You do not lower the ladder with the motor running. The ladder stays up while the motor is running for obvious reasons. We don't want the motor running while you're trying to rescue somebody out of the water. Shut the motor down, rescue your person, get them on board, and then you can start the motor back up to make your way back to shore. Raising and lowering the motor. This is a very important part. While raising and lowering this motor, the motor is to be off. The motor cannot be running. The key is in the on position. You lower the motor down into the water, then you start your motor. The motor has to be submerged in the water before you start. Otherwise, you will blow the impeller and you will not get cooling water circulated to the motor. The motor will overheat. The correct operating temperature for this boat is 130 degrees. Anything over 130 degrees, the boat is starting to get hot. At 150 degrees, you're still okay. At 180 degrees, something is not right. We need to start paying attention. At over 180 degrees, you need to start thinking about heading back to shore. It is starting to get way too hot. Raising the motor once you've come into shore. Shut the motor off. Turn your key back on once the motor's shut off. You push the red button that's on top and the raise button below the red button. Bring the motor all the way back up into the beach position. The two red lights will flash, indicating that you're back in the beach position, meaning the motor is all the way back up. Once the motor's back up, you're ready to load on the trailer. Loading the boat on the trailer, the boat has to be centered on the trailer. You get the boat on the trailer, you have somebody make sure that you're centered. When you go to pull out, you have them look from the back and make sure the boat is centered. If it is not centered, back the boat back in the water, have them shift the boat whichever direction it needs to be shifted, and then pull back out. Correct PSI for boost for your turbo. Normal PSI is between 10 and 15 pounds of pressure for your boost. Max PSI is about 30 PSI of boost. Your voltmeter should run between 12 and 14 volts. It is a 12 volt system, so normally you're going to be between 12 and 14 volts. That means your batteries are charging. That's what we want to see. If it's below 12 volts, something is wrong. Your batteries aren't charging. There's something wrong with the alternator, and you need to head back to shore because you're going to run out of power. Oil pressure should run about 60 psi. If it gets down below 60 psi, something isn't quite right. If it drops down below like 30 psi, definitely something wrong. You need to head back into shore. Remember, this is a diesel motor. It will smoke a little bit when you run. It should not smoke a lot, but it will smoke slightly. Throttle control. Throttle is directly in the center, is neutral. There's a line here that shows the neutral position. Forward is forward, back is reverse. It's a diesel motor, so you can't just punch it. We'll go over that when we film the operating portion. You have to throttle in easy and go in easy on the throttle to get it to get up on plane, and then you'll be able to actually give it good throttle and make it go. And again, we'll go over more of that when we go over the operating procedures. Tie downs. These are the tie downs. When you load the boat, they get tied down in the back. They are tied down with this portion facing up. Gets tied down from this corner right here to the corner of the trailer. On the bottom, there's a bottom hole. You put that hook on the bottom hole, and then this portion, you pull this tight, and this gets flipped down, which tightens down the strap. You have to make sure there's 2 straps on the back, as well as the strap on the front. When you go to haul the boat out of the water, that's what keeps the boat on the trailer. That's it for now. Okay. So once you're on the water, turn your battery on, power switch on, check you got your 3 lights. Audible sound. Got 1 flashing light, your motor's up. So now we're going to lower the motor. The motor's going all the way down. Motor's all the way down. Checking, we're at 1. Now we're ready to start the motor. Okay, we're starting the motor, now we're checking. We're good on the PSI for the oil pressure. Our temperature is good. The tack is good, it's reading 500. Everything looks good. The voltmeter between 12 and 13, so we're good there. All of our lights seem to be working. We have power to our radio. All our lights work. Our bilge pump light comes on. Okay. Good. So, now that everything's on and running, we know we're good to go. We can untie and start to back out and get ready to go.